Ever step off a flight and think, how was that trip so short, but I'm completely drained? A lot of the time, it's not bad luck, it's the airline. Some carriers look cheap until the fees hit, the delays stack up, and the whole day turns into a mess. Others cost a bit more, but the difference in comfort, service, and reliability is night and day. In this video, we're breaking down the airlines to avoid at all costs, and then the 4 airlines that are actually worth your money when you want a smoother, calmer trip. Number 1. Spirit Airlines. Spirit is the classic, looks cheap, ends up complicated airline. The ticket price can be genuinely low, but you're basically buying a seat and nothing else. The moment you want the trip to feel normal, choose a seat, bring a standard carry-on, board a little earlier, stretch out a bit, the total starts creeping up. And the sneaky part isn't that the fees exist. The sneaky part is how easy it is to forget one small thing. Show up at the airport and pay the most expensive version of that fee when you're already committed. A lot of people don't realize how much of the Spirit experience is shaped by speed. These airlines make money by keeping planes moving. Faster turns, more flights per aircraft, less downtime. It's efficient until it isn't. When weather hits, air traffic control slows things down, or a plane needs maintenance, there's often less spare capacity to rescue your day. On a big legacy carrier, there might be 5 other flights later that afternoon. On a low-cost route, the next flight might be tomorrow. That's how a small delay becomes a full-blown schedule wipeout. Then there's the airport tension, and this is where Spirit gets its reputation. Their baggage rules are strict because baggage fees are a major part of the business model. So you'll see the bag sizer drama. Someone's backpack fits, except the top handle is poking up, or a jacket is stuffed in the outer pocket, and suddenly it's a debate. People aren't angry because they hate rules. They're angry because the fee can be close to the cost of the ticket, and it's happening under pressure, with a line behind them and a gate closing soon. If you've never dealt with that, imagine this. You pack light, you did everything right, you're proud of yourself. Then your bag gets measured at the gate, and you're standing there doing the most awkward, can I flatten this with my forearm? Maneuver you've ever done in public. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Either way, your heart rate goes up and your mood drops before you even board. On board, Spirit can be totally fine, especially on short hops. But the cabin can feel loud, cramped, and more city bus in the sky than calm travel day. And that matters if you're already tired, older, tall, or flying with someone who gets anxious. Comfort is not just legroom. It's how rested you feel when you land. Spirit does have options that can genuinely improve the trip, like paying for extra space up front, but you need to compare that upgrade price against a different airline's regular ticket, because sometimes you're paying premium money for a budget vibe. If you're going to fly Spirit, the trick is to remove surprises before they remove your patience. Measure your personal item at home. Don't hope it fits, know it fits. And test it when it's actually packed, because a soft bag that fits empty can puff out once you stuff a charger, a hoodie, and a water bottle in the outer pocket. Tuck loose straps in, zip everything flat, and keep anything bulky in your jacket pockets until you're past the gate. If you need a carry-on, pay for it online ahead of time, because airport pricing is usually the punishment level. Screenshot your fare rules and baggage allowance so you're not relying on memory at the counter. And try to avoid tight connections or same-day plans that can't move. Spirit can be a win when you treat it like a strict budget deal with strict budget rules, but it's a rough pick when you want a smooth, low-friction travel day. Number 2. Frontier Airlines. Frontier has a similar low-cost mindset, but the pain point tends to show up in one specific place: control over your seat and your space. If you're the kind of person who can take any seat and shrug it off, you might be perfectly happy. If you're tall, have back issues, need an aisle for bathroom breaks, or you're traveling with family and want to sit together, Frontier can turn into a pricey puzzle. Here's the pattern. The fare looks amazing. Then you go to pick seats and realize the seats you actually want cost extra. Then you add a bag, because most people don't travel with only a tiny personal item, and now the cheap fare is getting less cute. And because you're already in the booking flow, a lot of people keep clicking yes just to keep the process moving. That's how you end up paying a normal airline price for a not normal airline experience. Frontier is also known for running lean. Think of it like a restaurant that staffs just enough people for a normal Friday night, but not enough for chaos. If everything is running on time, you don't notice. If one thing goes wrong, the whole system gets stressed. That's when you start hearing, "We're waiting on a crew," or "We're waiting on a plane," and you realize there isn't a spare aircraft sitting around to save your schedule. Another common stress moment is the gate check surprise. Some Frontier flights use aircraft where overhead bin space feels like it fills up instantly. So people board, see the bins are full, and now their carry-on gets tagged to go underneath, right at the aircraft door. If you've packed medication, a battery pack, a camera, or anything you can't easily replace, that "hand it over right now" moment can feel awful. And if you have a short connection, gate checking adds a time penalty you didn't plan for. If you have to fly Frontier, plan like someone who hates being trapped in a bad decision. Build the real cost up front, the seat you actually want, the baggage you actually need, and whatever flexibility you want if things get messy. Also, aim for the first flight of the day when you can. Early flights are more likely to leave on time because the plane has been sitting there overnight. Late flights are more likely to inherit delays from earlier legs, and low-cost airlines don't always have the schedule slack to recover. One more tip that sounds small, but saves real stress. If you're traveling with an older parent, someone with limited mobility, or anyone who simply gets overwhelmed in crowds, pay for seats closer to the front. Getting off 5 minutes earlier can be the difference between a calm connection and a panicked shuffle through a terminal. Frontier isn't automatically a never, but it's rarely a good idea for tight connections, important events, or trips where you want to land feeling human instead of wrung out. Number 3. Allegiant Air. Allegiant is a different kind of gamble because it's not just about comfort or fees, it's about frequency. Allegiant is built around leisure routes, often linking smaller cities to vacation destinations without forcing a connection through a big hub. When that works, it's awesome. You park easily, you skip a huge airport, you fly straight to a beach city, and you feel like you hacked the system. The problem is that many of those routes don't run multiple times a day. Sometimes they don't even run every day. So if your flight is delayed or cancelled, you might not have a simple backup option. You might be waiting days, or you might be buying a last-minute ticket on a completely different airline out of a different airport. That's the hidden cost. Not money, but the risk of getting stranded. This matters a lot for cruises and tours. A cruise doesn't wait. A guided trip doesn't pause because your flight got moved. And if you're traveling for something personal like visiting family, with a limited window losing, a day can feel way bigger than losing a few dollars. Allegiant also leans into the build your own trip approach. The fare is low, then you add bags, seat choice, and often hotel and rental car bundles. Some people love that because it's simple. Others end up paying more than they expected because the final price is spread across a bunch of little decisions. It can feel like death by 1,000 upgrades. The airport experience can be a mixed bag too. Allegiant often uses smaller or secondary airports. That can mean short security lines and easy parking, which is great. But smaller airports also mean fewer staff and fewer services when things go wrong. If your flight gets disrupted at a major hub, you have options. More flights, more counters, more hotels nearby, more transportation. If it happens at a quiet airport at night, your options shrink fast. If you're considering Allegiant, the best travel tip is to think about your delay budget, not money time. If you can lose half a day and it won't ruin anything, Allegiant can be a decent deal. If you can't lose half a day, it's usually not worth the risk. And if you do book it, try to avoid the last flight of the day. Earlier departures give the airline more time to recover if something slips, and you're less likely to get stuck in that late night, there's literally no other flight situation. Also, if you're checking a bag, keep one full outfit and any essentials in your personal item, because a single missed bag can turn a short vacation into an annoying shopping mission. Number 4. Air India. Air India can be one of the most frustrating airlines to recommend or avoid because the experience isn't consistently bad or consistently good. It's inconsistent, and that's the problem. Some passengers get a totally solid flight. Friendly crew, tasty food, smooth trip, no drama. Others get a cabin that feels worn out, entertainment screens that don't cooperate, seats that don't feel fully functional, and a general "we're still catching up" energy that's rough on a long haul. A big part of this comes down to a fleet in transition. When an airline is actively upgrading, you can end up with two realities at the same time: newer aircraft or refreshed cabins on certain routes, and older interiors still flying elsewhere while the changes roll out. From a traveler's perspective, it can feel like you're rolling dice on a 12-hour flight. And on a long haul, small issues stop being small. A seat that feels a little uncomfortable for 2 hours can feel like a personal attack at hour 10. This is where aircraft type matters, in a very practical way. Different planes have different cabin layouts, different screen systems, and even different feel in the air. A newer wide-body cabin usually has quieter lighting, better airflow, and seats that don't look like they've lived 3 lives. An older configuration might still get you there safely, but it can feel like time travel in the worst way. If you're booking Air India, don't book the airline, book the specific flight. Check the aircraft model. Look up recent seat photos and cabin reviews for that route. If you can choose between an older and newer aircraft on the same price range, pick the newer one every time. Also, pack like you're not expecting perfection. Download movies and music. Bring a power bank. Carry basic comfort items like an eye mask and a light layer, and keep essential meds in your personal item, not in a checked bag. Another small, quality of life move. Choose daytime flights when you can. When you can see the cabin clearly, you're less likely to feel trapped in a bad seat situation, and you'll handle disruptions with more patience than you will at 2 a.m. Air India is improving in many areas, but improving still means it's not always the most reliable choice when you need the whole trip to run like a machine. Number 5. All Nippon Airways, ANA. ANA is the kind of airline that makes you realize how much stress you've been tolerating as normal. The difference isn't one flashy gimmick, it's the overall calm. Check-in tends to feel organized. Boarding feels like a process instead of a fight. Cabin crews communicate clearly, and the whole flight has a rhythm that makes your brain relax a little. In economy, ANA is strong at the basics that actually matter on long flights. The cabin is usually clean, the seats feel well maintained, and the entertainment system is modern enough that you're not squinting at a screen that looks like a 2008 GPS. Meals tend to be reliably good for airline food, and even if you don't love every item, it doesn't feel careless. It feels like someone tried. One underrated detail is how the cabin is managed over time. On a long haul, the flight changes mood. The first few hours are meal service and movement. Then people try to sleep. Then you get that mid-flight restlessness. On some airlines, that restlessness turns into chaos. Loud conversations, bright lights, constant clunking in the galley. On ANA, the cabin usually stays more controlled, like the crew is quietly protecting the sleep part of the flight. And here's a nerdy detail that actually matters for comfort. Newer long-haul aircraft, like the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350, are designed to keep cabin pressure a bit closer to what your body feels on the ground, and they can handle higher humidity than older designs. Translation: people often step off those flights feeling slightly less dried out and foggy. ANA flies a lot of those newer jets, so if you have a choice, picking that aircraft type can make the flight feel easier on your body. If you're upgrading cabins, ANA is also known for doing premium travel in a way that feels thoughtful instead of showy. Better bedding, better privacy, and service that's attentive without hovering. It's not the "look at me" style, it's the "you're taken care of" style. Practical booking tip: pay attention to which Tokyo airport you're connecting through and how much time you have. A calm airline plus a calm connection is magic. A calm airline plus a sprint through a massive terminal is still a sprint. Give yourself a little buffer, and you'll feel why ANA has such a loyal following. Number 6. EVA Air. EVA Air is one of those airlines people discover almost by accident, then never shut up about. It doesn't have the loudest marketing, but it has a reputation for being steady, polite, and surprisingly comfortable, especially on long-haul routes. It's the kind of quiet quality that frequent flyers love because it's consistent. Taipei as a hub is a big reason EVA feels smooth. For connections into Southeast Asia, it can be a cleaner one-stop route than bouncing through mega hubs that feel like a maze. The airport experience matters more than people think, especially if you're traveling with parents, kids, or anyone who moves a little slower. A shorter walk, clearer signs, and less chaos can turn a long travel day into something manageable. On board, EVA tends to do the practical stuff right. Decent meals, good service timing, cabins that feel well kept, and a general sense that the airline respects the fact that you're trapped in a seat for a long time. Even little things like consistent water runs and quick trash collection can make the cabin feel less gross by hour 10. EVA also has a strong reputation for safety culture and maintenance discipline. Most travelers don't talk about that out loud, but it's part of why some airlines feel solid. The doors close, the plane pushes back, and you get the sense that everything is being handled professionally. That's the kind of comfort you feel in your body, even if you can't point to one specific feature. A super practical EVA tip: if you're doing a long connection, use the layover as a reset, not as dead time. Walk, stretch your calves, drink water, and eat something with real protein, not just sugar. It sounds obvious, but it's the difference between arriving tired and arriving destroyed. And yes, EVA has the famous themed aircraft on some routes, which is fun if you're into that, but the real reason it's worth it is simple. Long flights feel less punishing. If your goal is to arrive with energy left able to actually enjoy your first day, instead of taking a recovery nap, EVA is a strong choice. Number 7. Qatar Airways. Qatar Airways is one of the clearest examples of how an airline can feel premium without being loud about it. Even in economy, the experience often feels finished, like the seat, the screen, the food, and the service are all part of one plan. On newer aircraft, the cabin design feels modern and clean, not just shiny for the sake of it. The connection experience through Doha is also part of why people pay for Qatar. Hamad International is designed for transfers, and you feel it. Wide walkways, clear signage, and less of that frantic, "Am I about to miss my flight?" energy. When you're connecting internationally, your stress usually comes from uncertainty. Qatar tends to reduce that uncertainty. In the premium cabins, Qatar's reputation is tied to comfort and privacy. Business class can feel like a true personal space, with flat beds and layouts designed so you're not constantly bumping elbows with strangers. But here's the honest part. The experience depends on the specific aircraft and seat. Some planes have the famous best-in-class setup, and some have older business seats that are still good, but not legendary. So the smart move is to check which seat you're actually booking, not just trust the brand name. If you're flying long haul, and you're willing to pay extra for the flight to be part of the trip, not just the annoying thing you have to survive, Qatar is often worth it. And if you're not upgrading, it still tends to be a solid choice for economy travelers who care about comfort, modern entertainment, and a more polished overall journey. One small thing that adds up: Qatar crews usually keep the cabin service flowing in a predictable way, which means fewer awkward gaps where you're wondering if you should hit the call button for water or just suffer quietly. Number 8. Singapore Airlines. Singapore Airlines is the airline people describe with words like consistent, and that sounds boring, until you remember how rare consistency is in air travel. A lot of airlines can be great on a good day. Singapore is known for being good on regular days. The crew service tends to feel steady and professional, and the cabin atmosphere feels calm. You're not constantly wondering what the next surprise will be. In economy, the real magic is how the flight is managed. Meal service is organized. The cabin usually stays quieter. The crew checks in without making you feel like you're bothering them. Even small requests, water, a blanket, help finding something don't come with attitude. That matters more than people admit, because a long flight is a mental game. A calm cabin keeps you from getting irritated and exhausted. If you're flying premium cabins, Singapore's reputation goes even further, with strong bedding, privacy, and thoughtful service details. On many routes, there are options to pre-select meals, which sounds small, but it removes one of the annoying hope the good thing doesn't run out moments that happens on a lot of flights. And then there's the hub experience. Changi Airport is famous for a reason. It's clean, efficient, and designed to make connections feel easy. Even if you don't care about any of the fun features, the basic flow security, transfers, signage, comfort tends to feel smoother than most airports. A smooth airport plus a smooth airline is how you turn a brutal travel day into something you can actually handle. And if you have a choice of aircraft, newer long-haul cabins often feel quieter and less harsh on your body. Less of that dry, scratchy, "Why do I feel dehydrated?" sensation. So it's worth checking the aircraft type before you lock in the booking. Singapore Airlines isn't always the cheapest option, and it doesn't need to be. The value is that you're buying a lower stress journey. And on long-haul travel, lower stress is real luxury. If you want one simple rule for making any long flight easier, regardless of airline, hydrate early, get up and move your legs once in a while, and keep your essentials, meds, chargers, a snack within reach. Singapore just happens to be the airline that makes all of that feel easier, not harder, especially on those marathon flights where every small comfort turns into a big deal.